Good morning. Thanks for joining us on the taping of our family meeting podcast today. We're glad you're here. Episode 111.
Special Hurricane Nicole edition.
Yes. And it is not very pretty outside. This morning was worse.
Well, the bands are making their way through. We're in a little bit of a lull right now. But that means the tree frogs are out. So you might literally hear tree frogs.
They're so loud. They kind of sound like this.
So basically, Lysandra's voice on the podcast every episode.
Yeah. So my frog voice. Okay. Thomas.
No.
Are you ready for this episode? We are talking about bad habits. You've got a few.
I do. But before we get to that.
Oh, what?
What have you been up to this week?
Me?
Yeah.
I have been painting the exterior of a house and painting the interior of a house and doing other regular stuff. Helping homeschool the girls and some spiritual mentoring.
Nice. I was in a pie eating contest. I ate like 10 pies in 3 minutes.
Yeah, I think most of those pies were all over your body and on the floor.
Yeah.
Yes, Thomas got pied by all the children of our church. As,
half of the children, the winning team.
That's true. As the grand prize for the winning team of the Kids Cove contest, Clash at the Cove. And they had so much fun.
One of those little punks cut me in my ear.
Yes.
I got blood on my pillow.
I feel really bad because as I was assembling the pies, I did not even think about the fact that the pie tins were metal and they had that flap on them. I should have put them back down. And then I had some ladies of our church who are phenomenal ladies finishing up putting the pies together, like during service. And I don't know if you knew this, but one of the ladies said, "Oh, the pie tins could cut him." And another lady said, "Oh, he'll be fine." and I'm not going to tell you.
I want to know who the second lady was.
Okay, it was Adrian. It was Adrian.
Are you serious?
It was Adrian. She got you.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so her and I were laughing about that yesterday.
I noticed after like the second pie, the edge, and I was like, ooh, this could be bad.
Yeah, and got your ear cut. Blood on your pillow, too.
Yeah, so.
All right, so bad habits. Let's get into this episode, babe.
You want to?
Yeah, we both have bad habits, and it's time for us to tell people what they are.
I don't really have any bad habits, but I'm more than happy to share Lysandra's with everybody.
I ain't scared. Let's do this.
You should be scared.
Let's do this, babe.
Because there's a hurricane and nowhere to go. So we've got nothing but time and daylight.
I literally have to go and finish painting the interior of an entire house.
Oh, yeah.
I have to go. So we got to get this thing going.
Okay. But we need to make sure we give our YouTubers the time they deserve because they're the quality people.
Quality people.
They're my top priority right now.
Excuse me?
Well, they're not leaving me all day during a hurricane, so
you have work to do.
Thank you for always being there for me.
All right.
Gather round, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We are the Ostecamps. I'm Thomas. This is my wife, Lysandra.
You're such an idiot.
Is that not your name?
You got my name right. Appreciate that.
Add an extra L or two. Mm-hmm. For emphasis.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to our family.
You're trying so hard.
Welcome to episode 111 of the Family Meeting Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to expose the worst marriage habits, and you may recognize some that you do. I know we're both guilty of a few of these, so we've got to tighten up a bit, Thomas.
We do, but I want to kick off this episode by saying this is not the episode where you listen to it and find ammo for your spouse.
Right.
You've already got the ammo. You don't need extra from us. So this is just kind of self-examine. and see what are some areas of your own life and marriage and habits that you can work on.
Yeah, it's not about finding the bad habits in your spouse.
Not at all. So to kick that off, we want to say, first of all, welcome from our Palm Coast studios that are currently being hit by Hurricane Nicole.
Yes.
So a little bit of an adventurous episode.
Thought this was the Sunshine State.
If all of a sudden the podcast just stops right here, it's because we lost power. Didn't really lose power, but you thought we did, didn't you?
No, they didn't. They know
Yeah,
you.
they knew it.
They know you're such a weirdo.
So, Hurricane Nicole. So, who knows what might happen in this episode? We might have a car fly in through our window.
It's really not that bad yet, isn't it? Is it a tropical storm or is it a hurricane right now?
It's probably down to a tropical storm right now. I haven't checked the weather.
Oh, but we got to tell them about the tree frogs. I can hear one right now.
All right, can you hear it on the podcast?
That's a tree frog.
So loud.
They're so loud. There are times when they'll like wake you up at night. They're so loud. But they're very loud right now because of the hurricane. The storm has got them all stirred up or something.
So, bad habits.
Bad habits.
We're going to be exploring that, and so don't look for ammo, but sometimes you got to speak the truth. And I want to say, I think the first bad habit here is to leave the volume on your laptop that you're looking at while you're recording.
It's a bad habit.
But first bad habit, and I want to bring this right to the top of the list because it's on the forefront of my mind. Most irritating habit is leaving your husband in bed all alone during a hurricane so that you can go work at 6 a.m.
This feels like an attack.
No, I'm just giving a for instance. Like,
you just said this is not about having ammo for your spouse, and then you did that. Shame on you. Shame.
No, did what? I'm giving it a scenario that may or may not happen. I'm just letting people know if they're ever in a hurricane, don't leave your husband all alone because that's an irritating thing. Okay.
I had to leave you in bed alone this morning because I had to get this podcast ready because we're already a day late.
And $1 short. So if you could send us $1, that would be great.
And I have to go paint today. So I had to like get up very early to get this podcast finished so that we could record because now I'm going to go.
Wait, you're leaving me again in a hurricane?
I'm leaving you all
Twice?
day. All day. Okay. When we talk about bad habits in marriage, there's two categories that I think of. First of all is like physical stuff you do or don't do, like leaving dirty socks on the floor. That's the physical stuff. The second category of bad marriage habits are the things that you say or ways you act, like kind of like character, like getting in the last word. So we're going to talk about both kinds of bad habits in this episode, and we'll sprinkle both in here and there to keep you on your toes. My first question to Thomas is this. Not what you already talked about with the hurricane, because that's ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous.
My first question, Thomas, is what bad habit do I do that came to your mind right away as soon as we said bad marriage habits?
So the thing that pops into my mind is making lunch or food for the entire family except for one person in the house and not checking with them to see if they would like some food.
Okay, so thank you for bringing this up. Now we have to talk about this.
What do you mean? this is just the first thing that comes to my mind if somebody would do.
This was just your soapbox to be able to try to be like, okay, so here, now.
Listen, you're the one who told everyone that you did that. I didn't say that. I'm giving like a scenario that someone might do. The first thing that popped into my head was that.
Listen, I was at co-op all day with the girls. Half the day.
What's co-op? Some people may not know what co-op is.
Co-op is a cooperative homeschooling group where the parents all come together and parents teach classes and it's like a half day every other week. So we were there until 12:30. Then I went to the DMV with our two daughters.
Diva.
Yes. And I stood in line for quite a while. It was like an hour and a half. We got home around 2:15, somewhere like that. And so right away, all of us were really hungry. We had been gone all day. Thomas was home. I just assumed he had already eaten. So we made lunch and
You know what happens when you assume?
Yes, I do.
You want to tell everyone what happens when you assume?
No, I'm not going to say it, but everybody knows.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we ate lunch. And then you come down and you're like, oh, I guess I'll just have a can of tuna. Like all sad. And I was like, you haven't eaten? It's like 2:15. And you're like, nobody asked me if I'd eaten. You did the whole pouty thing.
I did not.
And then I offered to make you lunch and you refused and you ate a can of tuna with your tail between your legs. And so sad.
I was sad.
And actually that led to a legit fight in our marriage. And we had to work that out later that night.
Yep.
At about 8:30 at night.
It was later than that.
It was really late. We went for a walk and we talked it out.
But that's going to be another episode.
Yeah, but we better get into this. Do you actually have a bad habit? I asked you, like, what's the first bad habit that came to your mind about me?
Well, that was what came to mind because sometimes people make breakfast also for everyone except for me.
You never eat breakfast. I made breakfast this morning for the girls and didn't ask Thomas again.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
You never eat breakfast.
Twice in 1 week. I think that's a habit. Either that or you're just doing it on purpose to be mean.
I'm just jabbing you.
Yeah.
Sticking it to you.
All right. So
okay.
what's the first bad habit that came to your mind? I'm scared that I do.
Bringing up my past and shoving it in my
Past,
face.
it was literally this week.
Yes, in the past.
Okay.
The beginning of the week.
It's pretty darn present.
All right. Let's just move on.
No, what's yours?
I think right now that's it. Like, that's the one I'm pretty angry about right now.
It's not things that anger you. It's like habits that keep happening. Come on, this is a place where we can tell the truth.
I know, there's a lot.
It's a safe space.
There's so many to choose from. At this point, I'm trying to decide which one I want to mention.
Pick one or four.
I think leaving your dishes around. This morning, I picked up a water cup from off the end table down here in the living room.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make me angry, but it's annoying.
That would be annoying.
Okay, so that's the one I choose.
I try to work on that, and then I just forget sometimes.
I know. It's all good.
So.
All right, bad habits.
Okay, bad habits. The first legitimate one. Although I've given some compelling evidence of others. Mm-hmm. Just so you know, this podcast episode was your idea. So
it was, but it's never my idea the way you take them. You take these podcasts in a different direction.
You leave
whatever.
me an open-ended question. This is going to happen. So the first habit we're recommending you stay away from today is leaving without saying goodbye.
That's a bad habit.
It is a bad habit. And it might literally be the last time you see them. Mm-hmm. Every time you see somebody, it's the last time you might see them. Mm-hmm. So I almost always kiss Lysandra goodbye when I leave the house for any reason.
You are awesome at this. You will find me no matter what part of the house I'm in. You will find me and kiss me goodbye.
The only exception to that is when I get up really early in the morning to go to the gym. If you have not stirred by the time I go to open the door, then I don't. Mm-hmm. But if you stirred at all, then I do.
Yeah. You're wonderful about this.
But some people could totally forget that and just leave the house not even thinking about whoever they've left behind.
So I often leave the house without saying goodbye. This is my bad habit.
Or you try to, and I'm like, hey!
Yeah, you're like, what about me? And I'm like,
come here.
Oh, I love you. Goodbye. So this is a bad habit of mine that I'm actually trying to work on. For me, it's all about rushing around and trying to be efficient and stuff. And I'm like, oh, he's all the way upstairs.
Wow.
I need to hurry up.
Not worth the extra climb of stairs. But if I slip and hit my head while you're gone and you come home and find me, you're going to be like, I should have walked up the stairs and kissed him one last time.
Yes, that is why I am working on this bad habit. Okay, this is a bad habit that makes everyone feel really uncomfortable. Arguing in public.
Ooh, yeah.
Bad habit.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Have you ever been there when a couple is arguing and you start to like look around, like trying not to look at them. Or like if you're at a restaurant and double dating and they start to argue and you like just pick up your menu and start like intensely reading the menu.
Yeah.
You're just trying to pretend.
Oh, that chicken cordon bleu looks delicious, doesn't it?
Tasty. I mean, I had a couple argue about something. So I was on a job. These were clients. They were arguing about something. And then they turned to me and asked my opinion. Basically, I was the tiebreaker and my vote was going to like side with one or the other when painting their house.
That's not awkward at all.
It was awful. It was so awful. I totally tried to come in like Switzerland, like, well, I see both ideas. Oh, this is, and I'm like, ah. It is really awkward. So don't argue in public. This is a bad marriage habit. And you can learn all about fighting and when to fight in other episodes. But spoiler alert, you shouldn't do it in public. And that's what the episode is going to say.
And we've had more than one couple like fighting on a date or something with us.
Yeah, and we're not even talking about counseling. Like when we do marriage counseling, the whole point is that they go ahead and fight in the office and like we help mediate. But we're talking about like casually hanging out with friends
like
or a double date.
Spontaneous argument breaks out.
Yeah, and you're a little bit like, okay. Yeah, it gets awkward.
Yeah. Another bad marriage habit you may develop over time can be apathy towards sex. And this is a bad marriage habit. And if you're always acting disinterested in sex or either way, I could take it or leave it. Something funny?
No.
Why are you laughing?
I don't know.
Okay. I just want everyone out there to know that I'm being the mature one here. So
you said what you said. That's immature. All right.
Anyways, no, I'm not done.
Okay.
You are the one that derailed this, by the way. Just want to say that.
I am being quiet.
Anyways, it can send a negative message to your spouse and make them feel not very good about themselves. All right.
That's true.
You want to go on?
Ignoring is a bad habit in your marriage. You should not ignore. Sometimes it can become a really big time habit. You don't even realize you're doing it. And I see my girls doing this most often. You see it too, right? With the girls. One of them is talking to the other and the other is just like completely ignoring them, not even talking. Hey, Thomas, I'm talking to you.
Oh, I thought you were talking.
I just punched you in the neck.
I
That was weird.
thought you were talking to somebody else.
No.
If you want to see that savage punch, check out our YouTube channel.
Yeah. These wonderful YouTube viewers get to watch everything that happens here. Okay, so ignoring. Most of the time it's the girls, and I'll tell one of the girls, I'll be like, hey, she's talking to you, respond. You cannot just ignore her. Or if you can't really get into the conversation, then say, just a moment, please. But every once in a while, I have to ask Thomas, are you ignoring me right now? Usually he's just not responding to me, but to me it feels like ignoring. And sometimes at the beginning of the marriage, I figured out that you would ignore me or just not respond when you didn't know the answer because you didn't like to say, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't care about saying that.
Right.
But sometimes I'm engaged in something else and I legitimately don't hear what you're saying.
Yep. So that can become
It's
a bad
like
habit.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, but really it can also be a bad habit to start talking to somebody who's already engaged in something else. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Our next bad habit is disregarding boundaries. And we just did an episode on setting some boundaries. And even in marriage, there should be boundaries. Now, those boundaries are pretty limited, at least for Lysandra and I. But we do still have boundaries. We talk very publicly a lot. So I speak Sundays all the time. We have our podcast. Lysandra speaks at events and conferences and different things. But so one of our limited boundaries, we know there's certain things to talk about or joke about, and then there's certain things that are just off limits. Like we don't want you to talk about that. And so crossing those boundaries on a regular basis can be a real issue.
And we do have boundaries on other things. We have boundaries on spending, the tone of voice that we use with each other, even personal areas in the house. Like I don't touch your desk for the most part. I might go in there and dust, but I don't like move things. So we do have some other boundaries in marriage. It was a bad habit.
And I just don't touch anything in the house. If it's not at my desk, don't touch it.
Right. Yeah, because his personal area is the desk. My personal area
Is the rest of the
is
house.
everything else. Okay. So,
Another one bad habit, marriage habit, is to take over most of the house.
listen, most of the house is in order and it's for public community use. My really only area of like personal stuff is my closet. Everything else is like,
I love how you
the
said
family.
my closet, even though
oh, whoops. I mean, my
see,
side
Do
of
you all
our closet.
you all see that?
Okay.
You all heard that, right?
Okay, that was telling. I agree. All right, here's a bad habit. Leaving the toilet paper holder empty. People hate that. I hate that.
I hate that.
Thomas has been a rock star lately. He's been putting on the new roll of toilet paper probably more than I have lately.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's your bad luck that you keep on emptying.
I seriously keep getting the end of the roll. I'm like,
I don't know.
is she planning this? Like, like what is happening here?
I don't know how it's been
It's
happening.
been like 3 or 4 times in a row, 3 or 4 rolls in a row. And I'm like, what is going on here?
I don't know why, babe, but I'm impressed. You're doing an awesome job. You're killing it with the toilet paper roll.
I try. But you've made it very easy because the spare toilet paper is literally right there.
It's right there.
So it's a major lazy thing not to just be like, boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
fixed.
But you know what? It is a habit that people have. Like, people hate this. It's a thing. It's a serious thing.
And can we add to this putting the toilet paper roll on backwards?
Oh my goodness.
Like there is a right way. Your toilet paper should be coming over the top away from the
Yes.
wall.
Yes.
You don't put it the opposite direction.
What would we do in our marriage, Thomas, if we disagreed about that?
We'd have 2 toilet paper roll
We'd have to.
dispensers right next to each other.
We'd have to because I feel so passionate about this.
No, I feel passionate.
Yeah. But if one of us disagreed and felt passionately the other way, we would have to get a second roll.
Or we'd have to compromise and put the roll coming perpendicular from the wall instead of parallel to the wall.
No, because it would still be either going over or under.
No. It's coming sideways.
I don't think
We're
you're
solving
thinking this
problems
through.
here.
Okay.
All right, another one. Serious, on a more serious note.
A much more serious note.
Pornography in a marriage is a big issue that will destroy your marriage.
Yeah, it's a real bad habit.
So if that is an habit, an addiction, an issue that you have in your marriage, it's something you need to get taken care of. You know, see some counseling, get some help, get that taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Being defensive can become a bad habit in your marriage. Every time your spouse tries to bring up a subject, you're ready to defend your good name. You immediately get ready for battle when maybe all they wanted to do was just talk. Some people are really defensive.
Yeah. But usually if you're really defensive, and I said usually because there's exceptions
Yes.
to everything, it's because you've got something else going on.
Yeah.
Sensitive about whatever. So it's like, well, okay, that really shouldn't trigger that response. What's actually going on
Right,
here?
right. Overreacting on that defense.
Interrupting is a bad habit in any circumstance,
I totally agree. We should never interrupt. It's a bad idea.
but especially in a marriage. See, when people interrupt, you got to try to talk and get in there.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
And we've talked about this in other episodes.
I do not remember what episode it was. Do you?
But we've talked about it in a couple. But
Okay.
it really shows a lack of value for the person you're interrupting.
I just remembered.
You don't respect them.
I did interrupt you, but I remembered what episode it was on listening. Our episode that we did on listening.
So you weren't listening to what I was saying. You were.
I was already trying to think of the episode. Yep. Can you repeat what you said?
I cannot. But
I
you can
don't
watch this
remember.
episode.
Interrupting is bad. Putting your spouse down is a terrible habit. It's a terrible habit. You should be your spouse's biggest fan. You should be their biggest encouragement, the wind beneath their wings. Put downs can become a habit that will destroy your spouse and limit what they can do. The habit that you should have is constantly encouraging and uplifting them. But I have watched people who are habitually putting their spouse down. It's very sad.
Yeah, there's somebody I know that does this pretty often. And it's so hard because it's like, where do you draw the line to like saying something to the person? And it's like that's not called for in a public setting to put your spouse down like that.
Or a private setting. But a public makes it really uncomfortable for everybody else too.
Well, I mean, if you're having a conversation between the two of you, we're not talking about being mean, but airing stuff out that doesn't need, maybe that could be tagged onto this. Airing stuff out that doesn't need to be aired out to anybody else.
Right.
Of course, that could cross some boundaries and some other things. So maybe add on to a couple of them here. One of the bad marriage habits that we're both working on is constant phone usage. Always being on your phone is a real issue in our generation. And it shows disinterest in your spouse, creates barriers to closeness in your relationship when left unchecked. I mean, next time you go on a date and sit down at a restaurant, look around.
Yeah.
And you will often see, who I assume are couples, they're alone together out there. And rather than sitting on the same side of the booth, they're on the wrong side.
On opposite sides.
Yeah, that's wrong. And they're both on their phones.
Yeah.
Not talking to each other. So
we try to, so if we're on a date, the goal is not to be on our phones. However, sometimes we'll get on our phone together. So like you'll pull up your phone and we might research something together, or we might look at a text together and talk about like, okay, how should I respond to this? What do we want to do? We might pull out our calendars, which are on our phones.
Yeah.
Things like that. And I think that's totally different. That's doing it together.
Yes, you're engaged together. Yeah.
The problem is when it's like I'm over here on my phone scrolling Facebook, he's over there on his phone scrolling Instagram, and we're just not even connecting. And that is an issue for us. There are times when either Thomas will see that I'm on my phone when I shouldn't be, or vice versa, and we'll just give each other a little nudge and kind of point to the phone, and it's like, oh yeah, and just put it down. Because sometimes it's like you don't even know.
You don't even realize, because it is a habit.
It's a habit.
We've become addicted to technology.
Exactly, and it's a real issue. So, we in our marriage, that's what we try to do. We try to help each other with this habit. We're trying to break the habit and pay attention to it. So we work on this with each other, but at the same time, we have given one another permission to speak into each other about this.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm just constantly nagging Thomas about his phone or vice versa. What it is we've said, okay, help me with this. If you notice, just let me know.
And we encourage you to check out the book Be Where Your Feet Are by Scott O'Neill if you're having some issues in this area.
Walking into the house without saying hello or greeting one another. This is a bad habit, and it's easy to fall into because we're always walking in and out of the house, to and from work, to and from errands, going, carting the kids here and there. When we come home, we should be welcoming each other and showing each other love. I'm so glad to be back together with you. I think about, this is going to be so stupid. This is a terrible illustration, but it's coming out. So here it goes. Think about how Coconut acts when we get home. Our little dog.
Yeah.
When we get to the door, he knows that we're out there, and he's barking happy. Sometimes he's crying. He's like just get in the house.
Yeah.
We open that door and he just gives us kisses and loves. And it's so fun to come home to our little dog.
Yeah.
Because he loves us. And honestly, maybe you should try that with your spouse. They're on the other side of the door. Start crying like, Curry, get in here. Get in here. They're going to be like, what happened? Are you tied up? Is there someone in the house? Get in there, give them a bunch of kisses, be like, I'm so glad you're home. They're like, I just went and filled the car with gas. What? Just be happy to welcome them home. Because it can happen where you just walk in the house and you don't even acknowledge one another.
Yeah.
Because you're just living life.
Yeah, I feel that deeply.
Yes. This is more my bad habit than Thomas's.
And the issue is I'm always happy to see you. And you're always like, oh, crap, he's here.
Nuh-uh, not at all. But I can understand that that's how it would be communicated. The truth is, I walk in the door and I'm very focused on like, okay, I got to put these groceries away. I got to get this done. I got to get, and it's all about me having a focus on everything else but Thomas. Another bad habit.
All right. So here's, Lysandra touched on this already.
Okay.
But it's here on the list. So I'm going to bring it up again. Not clearing your own dishes.
Sounds wicked.
I used to be way worse at this.
Yeah.
Like I used to never think about it at all.
Right.
And that's super rude, super prideful, and it's a bad habit that says I'm more important than you and you should be cleaning up after me.
Mm-hmm. And we did have real issues with this at the beginning of our marriage. And I remember sitting you down and just being like, when you leave your dishes at the table and you just walk away, it makes me feel disrespected. Like I'm just your maid or something. And that was way, way at the beginning. I think that was before you were even graduated from college.
Yeah.
I think you were still in college. So that we're talking a long time ago. And you listened to that and you really took it to heart. And from then on, you did clear your dishes, like from the table. The only thing you struggle with now is like your cups because you drink your water wherever you are, all over the house. Thomas is a person of variety. He doesn't just work from one location. He doesn't just sit in one location. He's here, there, and everywhere in the house.
And I don't have like a special cup. Like you have a special cup.
Yes, my cup is with me all the time. It is right here for all of our YouTubers. This is my cup. Kim Hunt made this. She's an amazing designer. And it's always
she is an amazing designer. Mm-hmm. But yeah, every time you hear Lysandra take a drink at the podcast, it's that special cup. I don't have the special cup. I just drink out of whatever cup.
It's so weird. And then those cups are everywhere.
Yeah, because I forget.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, here's a bad habit and a sin that shouldn't be part of a Christian's life at all, lying. We can get into that habit of just like being comfortable lying to our spouse. And I think it's funny because like we can lie about stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Remember the King of Queens episode where he just lies because he lies? And then he decides like he's going to try not to lie. And then he tells her about the pre-dinner Whopper.
Yep.
Like he gets on his way home, even though she's cooked for him, he stops and goes through the drive-thru and gets a pre-dinner Whopper.
Every day.
And changes his uniform so it doesn't smell like a Whopper. Ridiculous scenario. And it's ridiculous to lie about stupid things, and it's terrible to lie about real things. This should not be a part of your marriage, and if it's your habit,
how would you feel if I went and ate a Whopper before I came home every day? Like before I was going to come home and eat your cooking, I had a Whopper.
I'm pretty sure I'd stop cooking for you.
Then I'd have to get 2 Whoppers.
Yes, I'd be like, enjoy your Whoppers. You don't leave for work every day.
Oh.
You work from home.
That's right. I'm going to have Uber Eats a Whopper in every day. It costs me like $86.50 every day.
Right. Yeah, you're not doing that.
Let's see. Complaining is such a bad habit.
Right.
All the pessimists out there are like, uh-oh. Yes, complaining can be such a bad habit. Lysandra and I will vent to one another about everything. Mm-hmm. We listen to each other and affirm feeling and commiserate, but only to a certain extent. And that can turn into this nasty habit of just complaining all the time, being negative all the time. And we've had people in our life, and we honestly try to limit time with those people because it's so draining. Mm-hmm. Where literally no matter what you do, they find something to complain about it. You know, you paint a room. I don't like the color or the smell of the paint. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, complaining is nasty.
Like, hey, it's Florida sunshine. It's so hot.
Yeah. Yep.
At least it's not snowing.
Mm-hmm. Operating independently can be a bad habit that sneaks up on you in your marriage. It can begin as something as simple like, we have different hobbies. So you go bowling and I go ice skating. And just once a week, I go ice skating, you go bowling. How do you like my examples there?
I'm not going to do either of those, so.
You watch football and I watch Murder, She Wrote.
Deal. As long as you got headphones on and I got the big TV.
There's nothing wrong with having like different interests or different hobbies and going in different directions sometimes. But this can spread into other areas of life and can become like a whole habit of operating independently of each other. In most areas, so if this happens in all of these different areas and it's branching out into different aspects of your marriage, it can really bring distance, and it takes away the oneness that God intended for marriage. When we got married, we were supposed to become one flesh, as God talks about in Genesis. And being one flesh, you're supposed to be together. You're supposed to be on the same path, on the same page. And a lot of times, if we start operating independently of one another, we're no longer one. We are two separate lives, or we can become just roommates.
Yeah, and I think about these couples that work opposite shifts a lot, and they really have to work to bring that union and that oneness to marriage. We have friends who are in the military, and you talk about long, extended periods of time overseas deployments for their spouse and things like that, and coming back together. Well, like your parents, your dad would go on the road a lot and then come home. Yeah. And having to work to find that. But it's important. Well, so we don't want to try to undermine that. Now, it is okay to have different interests, different hobbies,
or different work schedules.
But you need to pay attention to it and make sure that you're working to bring that oneness so it doesn't get out of control. Saying no can become a bad habit.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
You don't have that problem because the other side of that is saying yes all the time.
I didn't put that one in here.
I know. I'm adding it. I noticed it wasn't here. Because you want to say yes to absolutely everybody and everything.
I do say yes to everything and everyone.
You do.
Then I get in trouble.
Only when it causes problems for the rest of us.
Yeah. And it can. Yes. So saying no can be a bad habit too. And Thomas, you are a yes guy too in our family.
I am when it comes to the family, yes.
Yeah. And Thomas's kind of quote or whatever is, I like to say yes unless there's a reason to say no.
Right. And it's all based upon, my yeses and nos are based upon my priorities. So family is a top priority for me, so that's most often going to be a yes. And then if these other requests are coming in from other places, it's all filtered through the priorities of whether or not I can say yes. So, for instance, Friday is our family day. Family is one of my top priorities. So if somebody has a request that says, hey, what do you think about this for a Friday? So I can actually give an example. Our town, over in Flagler does what they call First Friday. And they have live music, and they've got people setting up different booths and different things. And Rusty, our executive pastor, came to me and said, what do you think about us doing First Friday? Setting up a table and passing out invites and giveaways and this stuff. And I was like, sounds great. The answer is yes, but I just want you to know, family is our Friday day, is our family day. So just as long as you're not expecting us to be there for it. So there was still a yes, but it came through the filter of, hey, this is the top priority.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a great example.
Whereas if it's just automatic no matter what, or an automatic yes, that just kind of lean that way.
Yeah.
You can get to a point where, first of all, nobody wants to ask you for anything if it's no.
They learn and they stop asking.
And if it's yes, you're giving all your energy out to other people and other things that aren't your top priority and top focus, and you're robbing your priorities and your top focus of the best you or you at all.
Mm-hmm. Fighting to win is a horrible habit. This is not present in our marriage.
No.
I think ever. And this shouldn't be present in yours.
It was early on.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely early on because I was a fight to win person.
Yeah. And I was a fight to resolve person. But I didn't know what to do.
You were just peacekeeper, whatever kept the peace. So It wasn't even resolution. It was just whatever keeps the peace.
Yeah.
And most of the time that meant you self-sacrificing.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good description of that. But we don't fight to win because we're on the same team. You can't have one winner and one loser when you're on the same team. So we fight for reconciliation. And we have talked about this in many episodes. And we actually have an episode that we recorded like at the beginning of this whole podcast. Way back, like episode, 6 or something. Might have been episode 3. It was way at the beginning.
3 was Fight Fair.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. You have a good memory. But yes. So in there, we talk about how to fight. So you can check that out. But definitely fighting to win is a very bad habit and will hurt your marriage.
We put the fighting to reconciliation thing to practice this week.
We did. It went well.
And we're resolved.
We are.
Still here.
Yep.
Anytime our kids hear us, if our tone of voice is not happy towards each other, like even if it's just indifferent, kids are like, 2 Christmases.
Yeah. Little stinkers. Are we going to have 2 Christmases?
Yeah. They got that from Uncle Ryan.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot. That's something that we joke about in our home only because right now, currently, we're pretty secure.
Yeah.
If that was even a question or any kind of a concern for the kids, I don't think that we'd be joking about that.
No, because I would definitely win that argument. They'd want to spend Christmas with me.
I don't know. We're not going to play mom or dad.
No.
It's always bad. That's when we both lose.
All right, here's one.
Okay.
And this is the exception to the rule. We talked about not using this as ammo. But ladies, I'm giving you permission to use this one as ammo. If this is taking place in your house.
You can play this for your husband.
And let me know. I will help you. Leaving the toilet seat up.
Ooh.
It's like, come on, guys. Get it together. It takes literally 2 seconds. Put that seat back down.
It's just a habit.
It is a matter of thoughtfulness. Thoughtfulness for the rest of the people who are in your house. And I feel for the moms out there who they're boy moms.
Yeah.
But hey, you have an opportunity to train them right.
I have to tell you a story that you didn't even know happened in the house.
Okay.
This is so awesome. It was men's leadership group on Monday night here at the house. And
This Monday.
And I came home really late because I was doing spiritual mentoring at Starbucks with some ladies. So I come home. The men are all gone. You saved me some wings.
I did. Save
really
me some
sweet.
wings.
You were on the phone with Uncle Ryan, and the girls and I were in the kitchen, and I was like getting ready to have these wings. And Abigail goes into the bathroom, and she walks right back out, very irritated. And she goes, "Ugh, you can tell there were men in our house because someone left the toilet seat up." She goes, "I'm so glad that our daddy cares about the girls, and he always puts the seat down."
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that sweet? I was like,
That
yes,
is
you guys
nice.
have a good daddy.
Come on, fellas.
You are really just holding it all up on your own. This like amazing man.
Actually, I'm putting it down.
Yeah.
All on my own.
All on your own. You're one of the good ones, baby.
Hey, living in a house full of ladies helps you see that perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's guys who are like, well, it just takes them a couple seconds to put the seat down. But when you are not used to, when you have the habit of just going in and sitting down on the toilet, you don't think to put the seat down. So then you just sit in the water or whatever.
I cannot even think of anything grosser than that at this very moment. Don't try to make me think
I was
of
going to say,
something
I
grosser.
can think of a lot of grosser
But I'm
things.
just saying like, ew, ew, ew. It's so bad.
It's like, come on.
Okay.
So just remember that next time I accidentally leave a cup lying around. The seat is down at least.
I'd rather the seat down and cups all over. Social media addiction. It's a bad habit, which this goes right along with being on your phones and everything. But social media addiction, man, it is crazy. I don't know if you have noticed. I find myself sometimes just like scrolling Facebook and all of a sudden I'm like, how long have I been doing this? Now I'm not going into like even 10 minutes, I would say, at a time. Like even 10 minutes of being on social media is too much for me. I'm like a quick check-in, respond to maybe some comments, and then I'm out most of the time.
Yeah. There's times where I'm like, what are you doing on your phone?
And I'll be like, nothing.
Like scrolling Instagram. Like,
Yeah.
Why?
Like, I don't know. But oftentimes that's like when we're vegging at night. Like we're just trying to like unwind. But this can be a really bad addiction if it's happening, all the time with your kids around, the spouse around, and it can really get into the other areas of your life. We've talked about this before. We have an awesome friend who I think only goes on social media on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Which that's her way of putting boundaries on it so it doesn't become a bad habit. And I really respect that. So whatever you need to do to take care of this habit, get it under control.
All right. So this was on my list. I'm not pointing this out. I did not bring this up on my own. It's just on my list.
I want you to talk about this.
Okay.
I want to hear from you.
But I want our listeners to know. This
Yes.
is not a jab at anyone in particular or a co-host.
But you know what? Some people need to hear this from your perspective. So please, go ahead.
Nagging.
What a bad habit.
Nagging is a bad habit that will make your spouse resent you. So don't do it.
How do you know if it's nagging?
Well, if you just keep on talking about it, like that's nagging.
At what point do you decide that you should give up on the thing that you're asking your spouse to do? And stop talking about it?
Well, I would say if they've not asked you to remind them, then and you just keep on. We've had conversations before. I'm like, I just don't want to hear about this anymore. Please don't talk to me about this anymore. Mm-hmm. And at that point, we know, like, okay, that's the end of the issue. At least I'm not. I just don't want to hear about it. Mm-hmm. And there's been times where we've done that. It's like, I hear what you're saying. I will get to it. Mm-hmm. I'll get to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they may not ever want to do it. But you nagging them is not going to help the situation.
Exactly.
It just exacerbates an issue that's already underlying.
The best thing to do is give up and be a quitter. Seriously though, be a quitter and let it go. And then you got to do one thing. This is more powerful than anything. Go to God in prayer about it and let him nag your husband.
Yeah.
Because the Holy Spirit is a very powerful nagger. That sounds bad.
That sounds horrible.
It sounds terrible. But I am just saying the Holy Spirit can draw and
definitely moving a little away from you just in case God strikes you with lightning for that.
It was very risky, especially in a storm, to be talking like that.
Like, hey, in a hurricane, let's blaspheme.
I wasn't trying to blaspheme, but I am saying that the Holy Spirit does convict and draw and speak to people, and he can do a better job than you can. So stop that bad habit of nagging.
This is kind of, the next one's kind of almost the opposite side of that.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Avoiding confrontation or avoiding disagreements is a bad habit. We talked to somebody about this recently, and he was just like, yeah, I just don't ever want to fight. So I just let everything go and just be quiet, and then it all ends. And I'm like, it doesn't end though.
Yeah.
Because then that is still there. Like that's always still there. So avoiding confrontation and disagreements is a very bad habit. You got to talk it through.
And it never goes away. Like if you just ignore problems, they don't go away. They usually just get worse and worse and worse and worse.
True.
And we have a bunch of things that we could add to the list. I mean, keeping score, overreacting, not making time for your spouse, not giving people's personal space, getting revenge.
Yep.
Putting your spouse last on your calendar. Of course, this is the idea goes along with not making time for them. Needing to get the last word in every discussion or argument. Expecting perfection.
That's a bad habit.
Or the opposite side of that is looking for faults.
Oh, that's a really bad habit.
So the list could go on and on and on, right? The point of the episode today is to get you to evaluate, what are you doing in your life? What are you doing in your marriage? And hey, are there areas of my marriage where I'm more focused on me and not focused on my spouse like I should be? Not loving them like I should. Being thoughtless. Being selfish.
And all these different things are bad habits in general, but they're also bad habits that can really hurt your marriage. They can cause real damage. So if you recognized a few of these bad habits in yourself, it's time to make the necessary changes and bring in some good marriage habits instead. Replacement theology. Get rid of the bad and bring in the good.
Well, nature abhors vacuum, right? So, but we want to encourage you to have a family meeting tonight and just talk about you and your spouse's bad habits. All right. What are some things? Just like Lysandra and I did at the beginning of the episode. Like, what's the top thing you think of about me when we talk about bad marriage habits? And something comes to mind. You've got that thing that's just irritating the life out of you about that person. Now, how you tell them it makes a big difference. So when you're having the conversation, be sweet, be kind, okay? No pointing fingers and all that. But you got to have some conversations about it. So be also prepared to hear what they're going to say about you. Mm-hmm. And where you need to, apologize. You know what? That is thoughtless of me to leave my glasses laying around. I'm sorry. I'm going to work harder on putting those over in the kitchen in the sink when I'm done with them. Or, hey, I'm sorry. It was inconsiderate. I'll do better to see if you've had lunch before I make lunch for the entire family but you. Hot, delicious chicken wraps. And you can have the cold tuna.
You really sound like you're maybe not letting that go.
No, I'm giving an illustration. You apologize.
You're the worst.
Everyone knows that. No argument there. So spend some time talking about that. But also flip the coin and end the conversation by talking about what are the good habits. And we thought about doing an episode that's like, hey, what are some good marriage habits? But seemed a little redundant with what we were talking about today. And we talked a little bit about the other side of the coin a lot of time. But talk with your spouse about that. What are the good habits? What are the positive things that you do all the time for us? So celebrate the good and talk about ways that you can change the bad.
Thanks for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting Podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found this information to be helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org. Or you can send us an email at info@familymeeting.org or text or call at 904-257-3062.
And I want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we talk about how to be a good gift giver. Christmas is just around the corner, and we love giving gifts sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't land, and it's pretty disappointing.
There are only 6 Mondays left until Christmas.
That upsets me.
6 Mondays left.
It's coming fast.
So if you've not started that gift giving,
Yeah.
wait until the next episode. Don't jump
We're
out
gonna
right
give you some
now.
tips. Well, and giving gifts is a love language. And some people have it and some people don't.
Yeah.
So if you do not have giving gifts as one of the ways that you give love, then you really need to listen to this episode because it's going to help you. If you are a good gift giver, then you'll just probably enjoy this and be like, I already do that.
Yeah. Boom, boom.
And we'll celebrate you.
Yep. So we want to say Merry Christmas to
all
of us out here.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is
But
next
you're
week.
talking about, you brought up Christmas, so I have the right to say Merry
Because
Christmas.
I want people to have plenty of time to put into practice the good gift giving while they're shopping for their Christmas presents, because surely everyone has started Christmas shopping by now.
Well, and I want everyone to get in the Christmas spirit and have that joy.
We don't ever skip Thanksgiving, though.
Nobody's skipping Thanksgiving.
We don't overlook
Thanksgiving
or
is
minimize it.
in a couple of weeks.
What are you, like, giving thanks for Christmas?
No, but I'm saying today's not Thanksgiving, so we can say Merry Christmas.
Oh, my.
And
All right.
Happy Hanukkah, all our Jewish friends as well. Mm-hmm. Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned. And happy Kwanzaa to all of you out there in YouTube. Phil.
Yes. I am really tired, and I have to go work right now.
Yeah, me too. But the work I get to do is bring this content to all of you, so I'm excited.
Good for you, baby.
Yeah.
Get her done.
So, speaking of Christmas, since we're in the discussion of Christmas, What do you get me for Christmas?
Nothing.
Same as last year.
This is what you get for Christmas.
It is a
I'm just
gift.
gonna put a bow on my head.
And that's it? All right.
Oh my gosh. Thomas.
Merry Christmas to me, everyone.
No. All right. We gotta wrap it up. Bye everyone.
See
Have
you
a
later.
Great week.
Bye.
You idiot.